Hi, I'm Jeff Pfeiffer.
And I'm his daughter, Rachel Tretton, and together we own multiple businesses.
People often ask, how did you acquire so many businesses and what's it like to run so many businesses?
So we have created this podcast, the Uncommon Success Podcast, where we talk about our businesses and just the daily life of living together.
And we hope you enjoy the podcast, and it involves humor and design and entrepreneurship and how to run businesses successfully. We hope you enjoy the podcast. Hey, welcome back to Uncommon Success. Today we have our special guest with us. They're actually neighbors that live just down the road. So it's Kyle. Kyle, nice to have you, and his lovely wife, Lisa.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And Rachel, she says she has the agenda. I have no idea what we're going to talk to them about, but maybe they want to buy a farm from us, or...
Maybe. So I think it would be appropriate to start how we met.
All right.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So I got a message from Lisa on Instagram pretty much telling me that we were neighbors.
Yes, I saw. Well, we had wanted to reach out to you guys we probably lived here close to a year before we actually reached out. But once I saw the for rent sign for the one that ended up being the Airbnb, I thought, well, I've got to reach out now, you know, as a real estate agent. So that just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah.
I think I found your YouTube channel randomly. I don't know how.
Yeah, we had seen a couple YouTube videos before we actually met you guys.
Yeah, because I had seen, I guess, one of your pilot episodes, I guess, that you put out. Mm-hmm. And then I said, Lisa, there's big things going on out back. It's not as quiet here as we thought. So, and then I told her, and then you guys got in contact with each other.
Yeah. So that's how they met you, but that's not how I met them.
I know. When I met them first for a dirt biking event at my house that we held with friends, and they came over and we got to meet them, and they're like, where's your dad? Is he around? Where's your dad? So it took a little while for them to meet you.
Well, no. I met Lisa before that.
Yeah, actually, I met him before I met you.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah. So what happens is I don't know where I was driving around somewhere, and Rachel, that's my daughter. Yeah. She calls me and she says, "Hey, Dad, there's an injured deer in the horse pasture. Yeah. And they're afraid it's gonna jump over into traffic or something." So.
No. Okay. I saw it happen. It got hit by a car. Okay. We literally watched it happen. And then it laid down, like, in your yard, practically. And I was like, oh, no, like, it's suffering. So I called you because you're the one with the guns. And I'm like, can you put him out of his misery? And that's why I called you.
So I went over to say, and there was no deer there.
Yeah.
And so Lisa was out front in the yard talking to your neighbor. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I pulled in and introduced myself, and she was very, very lovely. Very pleasant. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I told him that my husband was going to be jealous that I got to meet him before he did.
There you go. Yeah, because I was watching the episodes.
Yeah.
So, and that was it. So the deer had gone by the time I got there. The deer was fine. Didn't need to shoot it.
That's good. I'm glad you didn't shoot it because I would have felt...
We didn't have any deer meat for dinner that night, so we didn't shoot it.
Not that we eat deer meat.
I know. I don't like venison.
Yeah.
I've had so many people tell me, you just don't make it right. And then they make it for me, and it's like, this is just as bad as it was before. I've never had good venison.
I've had venison once.
And they say, well, if you put enough hamburger in, it doesn't taste so bad. Hamburger. Well, then just eat hamburger. I mean, come on now.
No, it's a seasoning.
Okay, so what's your agenda here? Why are they here?
Well, they're here. Well, obviously they're neighbors, and they are business owners. So I thought it'd be fun to ask you about your business. Both of you have your own businesses. So
we're very much intertwined in our business, but yes.
Yeah.
I am a builder, remodeler, designer, pretty much all anything building related, I do it. And Lisa is the behind the scenes person for the business. She does taxes, accounting. I mean, being a team like you guys, that there's so much behind the scenes that no one has a clue that actually is happening behind the scenes. And without having that other half of the business partner, there is no business.
Yeah.
So I'd say...
but you've been self-employed since he was 16, probably.
I mean, right out of high school I started. But, out of high school I didn't have her, but ended up getting into, I wouldn't say trouble, but you end up getting yourself all mixed up because there's so much involved.
In starting a business.
And
a lot of moving parts.
There's no,
There's no instruction booklet?
No.
Yeah, that's a good way to
put it. There's nowhere to even reference.
Yeah.
So, but through trial and error.
Yeah.
And a good partner that's there for you, that's got your back, you figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm 34. He's 37. We've been together since right when I turned 18, and he was 21. So I actually went to Westchester University for education, and was kind of helping him then, just kind of clean up the behind the scenes stuff then, which was much simpler than it is now. Yeah. But just like taxes and just receipts, so many receipts for everything. Website, marketing, like all the stuff that we would do like on nights and weekends, that's the kind of stuff we were taking care of. Work during the day and then that kind of stuff at night. And then eventually we said, his dream was to flip houses and, not work for a customer or client specifically, but to flip.
Sure.
And so that was always the goal to get to. And then a couple years after I graduated, I was substitute teaching. I really enjoyed it. And he said to me one night, "You should probably get your real estate license if we're going to do this." And I thought, okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do it. So a couple months, 6 months later, had the license, and then that's just been really beneficial to help us both learn more about real estate in general.
Yeah.
I wish my wife was that obedient.
That was a lucky day.
I thought there was going to be a little bit of a battle there, and okay, it's like, geez, that was easy.
Yeah, well, it was a good idea. So
you do the real estate end of finding houses and closing on them and so on. You both look together when you buy them?
He does his like market, like he's always scouring the market when we're looking to buy or sell, just for like comparables. Right. And and then I'm also looking and then kind of getting like the nitty gritty details on disclosures and setting up showings. And a lot of times, probably was it one or two of the houses that we had purchased and sold, we actually had the offer already written before we even went to the showing, because I can write the offers so quickly, and it really can give you a leg up sometimes to just be prepared.
Being young and broke, you got to figure out ways to get ahead and get a leg up on everyone else. Yeah. So we're slowly figuring that out, Yeah.
And then you do the majority of the work on the home?
Correct. Yeah.
And so you buy them, fix them up, and sell them.
Yep.
Do you rent them out sometimes, or
sometimes we rent them out?
Do both?
That's a new business venture going into.
You're not related like Donald Trump or anything. Next thing you'd be doing hotels and
I mean, honestly, the sky's the limit.
Restaurants and office.
He's always talked about shopping centers. Dilapidated shopping centers would be...
Think big.
Yeah, well, I guess part of the reason wanting to come on here is talk about entrepreneurship. And, I mean, you guys are entrepreneurs. We believe we're entrepreneurs, and we don't see no limit. Yeah. So, to whatever we're presented with, we'll figure it out as we go along.
That's right.
Yeah. You don't have to know how you're going to get there specifically. You have a goal that you want to get to, and even though you might not exactly know the layout of how to get there, just start. And you kind of will figure it out along the way. And we have definitely done that.
Well, almost everybody who wants to start a business, you start with an LLC. It's a limited liability company. They're very inexpensive to set up. If you can
like $500 if you pay a lawyer.
If you pay a lawyer.
And that's what I recommend. I mean, $500 sounds like a lot, especially if you're not bringing in money. But they know what to do, and it can be quick.
I didn't, but yeah, you can.
I did. I can, and I will. So there's that.
and lawyers are not all the same.
No, they're not.
I mean, there was one lawyer that had set up one of my businesses. I think it might have been Heat for Less. I'm not sure. And they charged me. It was like over $1,000.
Oh wow!
And then they wanted to keep all of my documents, like the license and everything, the proving you own it and all the rest. And I was supposed to go back every year to meet with them, and they were going to make sure that all my books are right and I'm doing everything right. It's like, I said,
they just wanted money.
I said, no, that's not going to happen. No, I'm going to walk home with everything, and I'm not going to keep anything.
Well, that's good to share, because like that wasn't your first business. That wasn't your first.
If it was my first,
right, you would have trusted them most likely. Yeah. So. Yeah. When you open an LLC, you don't need to give them. They help you open it. They give you the paperwork, and then they're done.
And that's all you want. Yeah. And it shouldn't cost more. Well, depending on where you live in the country, it could cost maybe $1,000 even. But there's probably some places it'd be less than $500.
Right.
So, but online it's almost free. But that's the first thing I believe would be to set up the LLC.
Yeah.
And when you name the LLC, it should not be specific.
Okay.
Okay, like heat for less. It's not like infrared heaters.
Right.
But it's broader than that.
Yeah. For us, we just used
Murray Construction.
No, our LLC right now is like.
Well, first we did the LLC was Murray Construction, and this was even a couple years. This was years ago now, like 10 years ago.
Sure, yeah.
And I just went online and I did it myself because we didn't have any money. So I was like, at least it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And, just try to educate yourself a little bit. But yes, then when we held our last property that we bought, we put it in, I went to a lawyer. We got it real nice and tight and orderly for the LLC. Yeah. And it was like... It's like KJM 20.
We use the kids' initials.
Yeah,
there's an advantage to putting your name in the LLC. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it's I think it's cost less to do that or something, but there are some advantages of using your name. Like if you're going to be a garage, if I would say Jeff's Garage, now you won't want to bring your car to my garage because I couldn't fix it. But if you call it Jeff's Garage, it's different for some reason, and I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. Versus saying the Gilbertsville Garage.
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting.
So you have to ask your attorney what the difference is. I'm not really sure, but I know there's an advantage of having your name in there for some reason. But then you also can do business as. For example, Heat for Less is the name of our LLC, but right now we're doing business as Home Comfort.
Right.
We changed the brand of our heater, and so we can be flexible in that way.
Yep.
So after we set up the LLC, what do we do next?
You got to know what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I guess that's the first thing.
Yeah, that's the first thing, yeah.
And then you open the LLC.
I jumped the gun, didn't I? First you need to know
then you start marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, you start telling people about your business. It's pretty simple when you think about it.
Well, it's only simple if you've done it and you know how to do it. I mean, it's never simple the first time.
Good point.
Okay?
And marketing is different. Like, that's something that I've learned over the years because my business, the Gilbertsville Farm, is like an attraction. People come, you're like marketing a place, like an experience. And then on the marketing side for the heater business, you're trying to market a product. Yeah. And it's just completely different. Like, what works for my business, for the Gilbertsville Farm, does not work for Heat for Less.
Sure.
Like, we've tried that. So I learned last year, if I do an event on Facebook at the farm and market and pay to advertise that event, way more people come. And people that have never heard of my business are there, and they come.
Shows up.
And I did that again this year, and literally 90% of the people that came to my events this year have never been here, first time here.
Wow. That's
so
great.
That worked.
And they saw it online.
And
they saw
it on Facebook is where I marketed. Because my target market are parents with kids. Teenagers are not on Facebook. So if it's a product that's like the younger generation, you want to market on Instagram, not Facebook. So with the Heat for Less business, last year we're like, why don't we make an event? We'll hold like a seminar, which you've done in the past, and we paid to market on Facebook, and we had one person come to the event.
She bought a heater.
She did. But I mean,
that's 100%.
It didn't work.
Success.
That's crazy.
So I take back the it's easy part because you have to figure out what works for what business.
Yeah. Well, one of the points I wanted to hit about business is you go out, you start a business, you have to be willing to adapt to the situation. I don't even know where I really wanted to start when I started, say when I was 18, but I think I just wanted to paint and do trim. And
framing, you always like framing.
I always loved framing, but I couldn't go frame a house because I didn't have any clientele.
Right.
But then the business changed. A guy said, "Hey, I got a deck business. Can you build decks?" And I said, "No." He kept coming back and calling me, and I'm like, "I really don't want to." He's like, "Well, I got a ton of work," and I was like, "All right, well, things are slow. Okay, I'll do it." So I built about 50 decks for the guy, and I mean, when I was done my stint with him, I was a professional deck builder.
Right.
It became just robotics. Everything was just like.
And now it's one of your favorite things to do.
It is. I
right?
really do love doing that now. But there's all these little stages that the business, and that didn't last. Then I was doing kitchens. There was and it's just like that. All the calls come in. It's all kitchens. Word of mouth.
Yep.
We never advertised.
Yeah, that's what we've realized for his business as far as remodeling is. We had done flyers, we've done business cards, we've done promoted ads. It was always word of mouth was the biggest thing, and people find someone that they trust.
That's right.
And does quality work.
That's right.
If that's the kind of business you want to start.
Yeah.
If you're quality. that puts you at the top 10% of contractors.
If you're young and you want to go out and start a business in the service industry, doing different things for people at their homes especially, I think that's one of the easiest businesses to start. I think don't be afraid, just do it.
Yeah.
You just gotta start. If you have the knowledge, then you're valuable. Knowledge is very valuable in today's day and age.
Especially if you're starting out with some of the smaller things, because like the honey-do lists, people don't, it's not as expensive for people to spend, so they're not necessarily looking for someone who's been in the business for 15 years.
Good point.
They're more willing to give it a shot with someone who's younger, because it's just little more mundane tasks that they can kind of start with and build from.
Do you ever feel intimidated as a young business owner because you are young? Have you ever felt that?
The most recent example is November 1st, coming up here in about a week and a half. I'm actually speaking at a high school. So I definitely am a little intimidated because I'm one of 4 or 5 on a panel.
Okay.
So I don't have any preparation coming into this, being on stage. I have no idea what questions they're going to ask me, and I am young. So what if they ask me something technical, right, about like the in-depthness of like an LLC? Like I don't know all of that. I paid an attorney, and like same thing with
That's
taxes.
your answer.
That's your
I was
answer.
gonna say,
That's okay.
Yeah.
You'll do just fine.
Oh, great. I hope so.
Or
That is.
keep your phone and say, just a minute, Dad.
I was going to say, Siri.
No, Siri, she doesn't know anything about LLCs. Give me a break.
Nah, I don't think so.
It could be a learning moment. I mean, maybe I will, like show kids, hey, you
That's right. Use your
Google,
resources,
You go to the library and get a book. I mean, am I intimidated? Yeah. Another example, I know I texted you a little bit, so Dad and I are going to be filming a legitimate reality show.
Yeah, congratulations.
So exciting.
Thank you.
Very exciting for that.
They're coming a week from tomorrow.
Okay.
Oh my God. Wait, is that the day of your panel?
And they're going to be here for that, and they're going to bring cameras. So that's really, really intimidating.
Oh my goodness.
Wait, they're going to bring the cameras to the school?
They want to. I need to get permission from the school, so I'm waiting to hear back.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm intimidated.
So
like it's so exciting that they're coming, that the film crew's coming.
Sure.
But it's been a whirlwind, to say the least. Like to design a space, like this room, for example, like the set, right? We did it as cheap as we could. The brick was here. It was lovely. Why touch it? So then we had the problem. There's a window here, and you need light control. So I took like a week to come up with a solution just for the light control issue.
Sure.
So I'm like, oh, well, Dad, we can build a bump out. And you're like, what are you talking about? I can't picture it. What? So I said a sheet of plywood, 2x4s, and then we have these strips of wood that he got for free. So the strips that you see, we just nailed on, and we built it looks like custom, right?
Yeah.
So I spent a week just trying to figure that out, and then painting colors, right? I spent maybe 2 days trying to figure out the right green, and then building the table. Like it took like a month to put this together, and it's not even like that big of a project, but I just wanted to make sure it was right. And they're like, oh, we're coming in like a week and a half. So
and
now I am feeling intimidated because it's like I love design and I know I can do it. Like I know people have told me, wow, your home looks like a Joanna Gaines home or whatever, which is a crazy compliment. But it's like, how am I going to do all these projects in 10 days? Pick the right color, pick the right everything. It's just overwhelming and intimidating. Like, this is going to be on TV. Is this good enough? So, yeah, I do feel intimidated by those that are, ahead of me in the game because I've never put something on TV before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think everybody...
I'm intimidated, and I'm not doing it.
You just got to start.
You got to
just got to start, yeah. But to be profitable, typically, like the ice cream parlor, the first ice cream parlor, it took 3 years to be profitable. But then I had experience in that business and others by the time we got to the restaurant and the zoo and that ice cream parlor. That was profitable the second year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was going to say the corn maze, I was profitable 2 years in, but profit, you're talking like I think 2,000. Is what I made because the overhead to start up that business is like 40,000-50,000 just to start, and then every year I'm investing minimum 20,000 a year in the business, and this year, I mean, my business is weather dependent, and it has rained
every weekend.
Single weekend.
Yeah.
We're still open sometimes, but
we've had 8 weekends in a row. We haven't been open 8, but we've had 8 in a row that we've had rain.
Yeah. We've closed almost every weekend
That's
for part of
insane.
a day or a whole day or 2 days.
You're just about even right now?
I just am even.
And so the last 2 weekends in October are the busiest by far.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
we do,
this
like,
coming
half
weekend
of-
and the
half
next
of our
weekend.
business.
So if the weather is nice, you're going to be fine. But
Yeah.
if one of those get washed out, it was like a whole bunch of work for very little return.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
the frustrating part for...
We don't keep track of the days too much. Sometimes we do, but we'll wake up, look outside, it's raining, like, must be Saturday.
Seriously.
Yeah,
For
it
real.
must be Saturday.
Yeah, I made a Facebook post on my business page. I'm like, rain, definition.
Yeah.
Only on the weekends.
Yeah.
How about talking about taxes? That is such a taxes. I would say is something that we don't learn nothing about in school.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think as a young entrepreneur, you have to always remember that's going to be a big chunk of your profit.
Oh, for sure.
So it's you go out, you make some money doing something, you get all excited and you're happy for yourself, and then you realize, wow, half that money's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10,000 last year is what I paid taxes.
Yeah, so that's just something
Painful.
for a young entrepreneur to remember. Is taxes are a huge thing. We could have a whole conversation.
Yeah, I just wanted to say taxes, when he first started, so, at 21, or by the time I was involved at 18, I think we had briefly talked about taxes, and he was like, oh, I don't know. I'm just trying to work and bring in some money to, and I thought, okay, so we worked together and got it all figured out. And so since I was 18, I've been doing his taxes up until this year. Well, his and then ours, obviously. But there was several great things about just diving in, and I mean, I didn't know anything about taxes, but I thought I'm gonna learn about it every year as I do them. You really get to keep an eye on your expenses because it's easy to think you're spending less on business related expenses than you are. And it keeps your overhead low. So all of those things were benefits for us, and I think anyone starting out, if you get that QuickBooks self-employed, it walked me through it so well, and I learned so much that now helps me as we jump into more complicated tax things like buying and selling and holding and depreciation and all that stuff. I wouldn't have had the first clue if I'd had somebody maybe doing it from the beginning.
That's me. I have no clue. I just hand it and pay the bill and just I'm like, okay, it's done.
Yeah, and it depends on how many moving parts you have in your business, because at some point there's definitely a benefit to just allocating it, and that's where we got to that this year. And as it got more complex, I thought, okay, someone else.
When you're small,
can now deal with
you have to do it all.
Yeah.
Taxes and phone calls and ordering and paying bills and all the rest. The bigger you get, you hire people to take care of certain things for you, and that certainly is like taxes and payroll. That's something that's easy to freelance out and do. There are really good software programs out there for any small business, and certainly QuickBooks is one of them. To help with finances and so on, makes it really easy. Then Homebase is good for payroll. When somebody says to me, I don't like, they'll want to sell me something or want me to make a contribution to their organization. They'll say, but it's a tax deduction. Whenever here's a tax deduction, it's like, that doesn't help me. All that does is means that means the money that I would have made in a profit, I now am losing.
Yes.
There's no advantage to a tax deduction when that's the case. So buying equipment, that's a tax deduction. Sure, you don't have to pay taxes on that income to pay for that equipment, but you're not gaining anything. Right. So that when people say that, it's like people who don't really understand business would say, that's a tax deduction, that's a good thing. No, it's not. It's not a good thing. I want it to be cash.
That money. Yeah,
yeah,
it's not in your bank.
I can say a little bit to that. People would say that to me when I'm young. So I would go to Home Depot. Well, I need this hammer. I already have one, but all right, I'll buy this hammer. Tax deduction. I'll buy this. I'll buy that. At the end of the year, you look and you got all these tools and tax deductions,
and no money in the
bank. And no income. So you go to the bank and you say, "Well, I would like to buy a house," and they say, "Well, you spent all your money."
Well, here
they're like, "You got to make more." I'm like, "Oh, what about the tax deductions? No one told me."
Yeah,
so,
right.
For sure. What about loans? I was thinking we should talk about loans. We never have gotten any business loans. We think that's. I mean, we have when we bought homes.
Yeah, for buying homes.
If you're going to go out and start a business, a lot of times I've seen where people go out and they get a $50,000, $100,000 line of credit loan, and then they're just spending like crazy. I think that is the worst thing that you could do if you're going to build a business. I think that just for giving a word of advice to young people or whoever's going to start a business, don't go get a big loan. Start from the ground up and build. Yep. It'll keep your expenses low, because when you have a free check, a blank check, it just goes, and that doesn't help the business grow. Now you're fighting the wrong battles.
No, if anything, you become more resourceful when you can't afford to go buy this, buy that, buy the other thing. And a lot of people, and I think it's mostly younger people, think that they can't start a business unless I have $100,000 from a private investor to get this, the big this and the big that, and you just don't need. Depending on the business, you don't always need that.
From our experience in our business.
Yeah.
So just a point I wanted to hit.
Well, that's a huge mistake that people often make. Yeah, they go and they get a lot of money, whether it be from a family member or a friend or a bank or whatever, and they just blow through it. And where you need to operate your business by getting spending as little as possible.
That's right.
So like when we had the restaurant, it's like we wanted all new furniture. It would look great.
Yeah.
But you don't start out getting all new furniture, so we kept what we had, and then slowly, after we had money coming in, we then bought some new furniture. Then we got rid of the old equipment because the compressors kept running on the freezers, and the electric bill was through the roof, and they were all dirty, and the glass and the ice cream displays weren't very nice. So eventually we could afford it. We then replace them. But if we had all that money up front, we would burn through all of it, and we wouldn't have enough money to continue to keep the business going, because you have all that debt now that you need to be paying back.
Well, and I think something that's really important if you want to start a business is kind of defining what success is for you, because what you see as success and what he sees might be different than what I see as success.
Yeah.
Maybe it means you're living in a penthouse in New York City, and that's success, and that's fine. Maybe it means I've made enough where I can delegate all these jobs to other people now, so I can spend time with my family and just be able to kind of do what I want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
It all depends, and maybe, but defining that from the beginning, and that's what we did very young, was what is success for us. And one of the big things was for me to be able to stay home with our kids. And this was way before kids were ever in the picture, but we knew from early on, like, that was something that was important for us. For him to be able to attend the soccer games and all the little things along the way, and not have to, be subject to somebody else. And that was the biggest motivator for us. And
our 3-year-old had gymnastics this morning, and I got to go. And you look around, and I'm the only father there, and I just feel bad,
Yeah.
I mean, I put on more hours than probably anyone, but I do have that freedom to go do those things that mean the most to me.
Advantage of being self-employed.
That's what we work for.
That's our number one goal, is the freedom to kind of have that. And
sometimes you don't always get it too when you want, we've been there. But
little stepping stones. You get a little bit each year, a little bit closer to where you want to be, and success is not always the destination. It's the process as well, if not even more, if it's not even greater than the destination itself, So you have to enjoy yourself along the way.
Yes.
If you're miserable,
Yes.
you're not going to be happy when you reach success.
Right. A quotable quote is, "Success is getting what you want, but happiness is wanting what you get." And there are people who are successful, but they're not happy.
Oh, yeah.
I remember asking a group of teenagers, I said, "How many are planning on going to college?" And almost all of them raised their hand. And I said, "Why are you going to college?" And they say, "Well, because I want to get an education." "Well, why do you want to get an education?" "Because I want to get a good job." "Well, why do you want to get a good job?" "So I can make a lot of money." "Why do you want to make a lot of money?" "So I can buy a lot of things." "Why do you want to buy a lot of things?" "It's because I want to be happy." "So why are you going to college?" "Because I want to be happy." and happiness isn't there. That's not happiness.
Yeah.
I don't. Those people who go to college and have all this debt, they're not too happy.
I know.
Right.
That's right.
I mean,
That's right.
I had the opportunity, but I just didn't want to go down that path.
Yep.
I already had a skill right out of high school. You got a skill, go for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sky's the limit.
Yep. No one person can do everything.
That's right.
And when you have a team, you need to split the responsibility. So it's clear what you do is different from what she does.
Completely.
So the idea is that we don't want to be, what they would say, an inch high and a mile wide, meaning we know a little bit about everything,
Right.
but rather we want to be a mile deep and an inch wide. We want to be really good at what we do. Now, with Rachel and I running the businesses together, it's the same thing, where she's really good at like marketing and design and people skills and telephone skills and being on the internet and just creative and all those things. And it's neat seeing your daughter flourish and do really well at what she does, and it's fun.
All right, well, I really appreciate you guys coming out.
No, thank
and,
you.
Yeah, that was fun.
Once
That was
the
great.
cameras and the mics are off, we're going to have to talk about this show with
Yes.
you guys.
Okay,
and
sounds good.
Yeah.
See
Your
if maybe,
possible involvement with
I was going
that.
to say, see if maybe you can make an appearance.
Oh
Okay.
my goodness.
Sounds great.
All
All
right.
right, until next time.
Thanks.
Until next time.
We hope that you've enjoyed listening to our podcast and that although Dad and I are ordinary people, we have had success, which is kind of uncommon, hence the name Uncommon Success Podcast. And hope you leave inspired to dream big dreams and to go after your dreams.
I couldn't have said it any better myself.
See you in the next podcast.